Hi, SJ here. What a day in clinic it's been. Let me know if you're there. I'm going to jump on and talk a little bit about verrucas. So if you don't want to know about verrucas, switch off. So I promise I won't show you any horrible pictures, but we're going to talk a wee bit about verruca. I've had 4 patients in today with verrucas, and if you've got one, you know how annoying they can be. They're really, really difficult to clear up. But essentially, verrucas are the human papilloma virus. It's a virus, right? So you might go to your doctor and you're like, I've got this annoying verruca, which they are spreadable. So if you do have them, bear that in mind if you're sharing a bathroom, sharing a shower, sharing towels. So don't do that kind of stuff because you will pass it on. They love moist, warm spaces. So just make sure things like you're changing your socks. So good personal hygiene. Okay, that kind of stuff is important. Hopefully you're doing that anyway. And occlude it. So if you do have a verruca, just some duct tape over it, plaster over it, something over it, so that it's not gonna spread about. But many of you come in and you've maybe had salicylic acid, you've maybe bought something out of the pharmacy, you've maybe been given something from your GP, and it doesn't work. Okay, and most of these things won't work, right? Because what we are trying to do is we are trying to get the body to respond to the virus, because the verruca is a virus. So you need your body's immune system to clear it up, right? So unless we do something that's going to stimulate an immune response, we're wasting our time, right? So there's lots of things that you can do, but what I would say to you is, do not buy caustic stuff and put it on your feet yourself. I would always recommend finding your local podiatrist. I am in Glasgow, so if you're in Glasgow, come and see me. If you're not in Glasgow, then find someone who is a healthcare registered professional podiatrist. So they are a podiatrist, not anything else. And get the best advice, get them to assess you properly and to make sure that it is a proper diagnosis that you get. Actually, I was on a CPD course with podiatric surgeon 2 weekends ago, and he was telling us, so lots of patients might come in with a thing called like corns, right? So corns are like hyper keratotic skin. So basically your skin's got really hard and it's almost like you're walking in pebbles. And a lot of these were coming back as having the human papilloma virus in them as well. So actually coming back as verrucas, but that's a whole other chat. So anyway, what can you do for a verruca? What are the options? How can you get rid of it? And why are they so annoying, right? They're dead easy to pick up. So obviously none of us are going swimming and stuff just now, but things like when you go to the swimming pool and you're walking about barefoot, that's when you're more than likely going to pick them up. Okay, they're pretty easy to pick up. If you're immunosuppressed, if you are older, kids pick them up, because kids are just wee boggers, aren't they? They're just like, they're just running about and they're in amongst it, so they pick them up dead easily. But if you're on any medication like that maybe suppresses your immune system, or you have underlying health conditions where your immune system just isn't quite up there, then you're more susceptible to them as well. Okay, so you just become more susceptible also as you get older as well. So those are your whys, right? So good personal hygiene. I also recommend, this is something I give to patients, this will be backwards I think to you guys. Oh no, it isn't, you can see it. So this is it's basically an antimicrobial spray that I get my patients to spray when they come out the shower. And they do that every time they come out the shower, spray it into their shoes and things as well, because what that's doing, when it's kind of like if you ever had like a cold sore and then you're just more susceptible to these things, it's the same with verrucas. You just tend to have a more susceptibility to them. So just by using things like this, it's almost like just keeping that all at bay. So these are just simple things: changing your socks, not letting your shoes get really sweaty and moist. So see if you're like going out running, and that's actually even biomechanically it's quite good to do it. changing out your running shoes and stuff as well, so not wearing the exact same shoes when you've been sweating. Always have socks when you're wearing shoes as well, and just make sure it's not all moist and minging in there, right? So if you, for example, if you go out running every day, actually having a different type of running shoe per day, it's a whole other chat about biomechanics of that and why that's important, how you're loading tissues differently, which is a good idea when you're training. But from a hygienic perspective and where bugs and nasties can live, doing that as well can help. And also things like antimicrobial insoles and things, these things can help. But a kind of good antimicrobial spray, this is the one that I recommend, so you can Google it down. Absolutely recommend this. I'm not sure if it's available for sale to the general public. I'm not sure it is a specific podiatry product, but it's not a prescription only thing, so I don't see why not. But I'm sure Amazon, you can probably pick things up there. So what do we do here? So I'm in Glasgow, and today I've had 4 people in with Verrucas, all different. Turn this TV down. My goodness, loud. And all very different patients. Sorry, that music was just getting loud. I had somebody that was in that's immunosuppressed, that's been really struggling with her verruca because we need that immune system to kick in to heal this. And I was on talking about this the other week, how it's doing fantastic. So for me, I only offer 2 options with verrucas because I believe that whatever we do, it should have decent research behind it that it works, right? So I'm not going to just do something in this isn't going to work type. So it has to have a decent chance of working. Now verrucas, remember, I am trying to get your body, I'm trying to get the body to recognise that virus and to create an immune response so that it heals it. That's what I'm trying to do. So the 2 options I have is, the first thing that I do is I've got this agent called Verruca Talk. So this, you can't walk into a shop and buy this. It is extremely powerful. It comes in little tiny vials. I don't know if you can all see that. This is the wee vial there. Tiny little vial. And what happens is I will use something like this. Can you all see that? It's a scalpel and it's in a package because it's single use. And whatever we use, whether your podiatrist is using single-use instruments, for a lot of things I'll use single-use scalpels, but I've also got the autoclave where I will clearly clean and sterilise the equipment as well. So I will reduce that area down, so I will interrupt the proteins on that tissue. And that's a really important stage. So I use the scalpel to essentially dig down. That sounds a bit rotten, but essentially we need to disrupt that tissue, right, to get the best chance of causing that disruption, causing damage to the tissue. Essentially that's what we want to happen, and allow the body to then stimulate an immune response. So I will debride it, that's what it's called. So I'm essentially cutting part of it away and reducing down as much as I can. And usually it will usually bleed a little bit, because usually within a verruca you'll notice there's almost like little black spots. If you look at it quite closely, you might see little specks that look kind of black, and that's just little bits of blood trapped in there. It's one of the kind of signs that it is a verruca. So essentially that it'll bleed a little bit. We then deal with that with sterile swabs and kind of clean that up. And then what I do with the Verruca Talk is I put the Verruca Talk on top at that point. Now it's a tiny amount. Now Verruca Talk advertise that it's a painless procedure. Now I wouldn't say it's completely painless. It's kind of, when I put the Verruca Talk on after I've debrided, it's just a wee bit stingy. It kind of it's almost like getting a bit of vinegar or something on a cut. That like a wee sting for like a couple of seconds and then it's gone. So I wouldn't say it's no pain at all, because that's lying. There is a little bit of heat to it. It just feels a bit, that's stingy. But it's nothing in comparison to some of the other things that are out there. Now, the reason I love this particular treatment is because it is proving really, really successful. Like up to 80% of cases we're getting these cleared up. Now, I know that 80% you think, Sarah, that's not 100%. Nothing's 100% because we're trying to get your body to stimulate basically the immune system to clear this up. But essentially what the Verruca Talk does is it mummifies the Verruca, which is amazing. It essentially goes like, it's amazing. You put it on, it kind of goes this crystal kind of white colour and then kind of yellowy black, and it kind of mummifies it. And for many patients, what happens then when I see them back in is that, and usually most people need 3 applications, and we can only actually do up maximum of 6 applications in total of this, but usually within the 3rd application that's enough. Now in terms of it goes this kind of like blacky, it looks a bit odd, it just kind of goes a really funky colour. But actually when that's on, you can just leave it alone. I give you, when you come in to see me, I give you some of this to put on, surgical spirit, just normal surgical spirit, and I give you it in a little applicator. I'll just show you. So you get a little one of these to take away, and it's basically just a surgical spirit, it's just an easy applicator. And you put that on every day, usually twice a day, ideally, so whether you do it morning and night, it doesn't matter. But you want it on twice a day just to dry the tissue, and that's all you need to do in between. It doesn't need to be occluded, it doesn't need to be covered up. Essentially with that Verruca Talk on top, it's like a coating on it, kind of seals it all in, and you just leave it alone. You leave it alone until you come and see me again. Usually 3 sessions, and each session, so that you know, is £50. That's full transparency, that's how much my regular appointment is. So each application, you essentially, I will de-roof it, debride it. And what is lovely to watch, so my particular patient today, this was her 3rd application, and this particular patient's immunosuppressed, right? So her immune system is suppressed right down. So if basically I'm trying to get the immune system to kick in to heal, basically to detect that virus and then to attack it. But when the immune system's suppressed, it doesn't work as well. It doesn't recognise it. So you're already kind of get this uphill battle. Is this going to work? And I was very honest with this patient, and like this might not work, but let's give it a try. But amazing to see over the last week and this week, and today was the 3rd application, and I'm not even sure when I see it in 2 weeks' time that she'll need another application. How amazing! And this is a particular patient where her Verruca was extremely sore. It was like a big, sorry if this box you out right, but it looked like a big bit of cauliflower, and it was about the size of a 50p piece on her heel, really, really sore, and it had kind of macerated, and it was all spongy and just horrible. And with that particular patient, I had to numb her foot to allow me to do what I had to do to get to the point of being able to get the Verruca Talk on top, because it was quite so bad for her. But and it was really sore. So I'm not in the business of torturing people. So I can use things like, so we as podiatrists, we are able to, so in here, this is little vials. We have local anaesthetic, so I can easily give anaesthetic if need be. If I'm not going to do something that's going to and torture you. So we have different tools in our toolbox where we can numb areas as well. Many people worry about needles. There's ways around that, so don't worry. We do have the Dermajet here as well, where we can deliver certain procedures. It's not as effective as a needle, if I'm being honest. It doesn't go anywhere near as deep. We're going about the dermis layer of the tissue with the Dermajet, dermis. But it delivers the local anaesthetic via high pressure rather than via needle. So if you get a mad needle phobia, there's ways, right? There's ways to do stuff that might just help. So that's one option. So the Verruca Talk, I am finding this with patients. I'm really, really excited by this, because for so long, clearing up verrucas is a nightmare, and if there's any fellow pods there, you'll agree with me. It's like you always see the verrucas and you just want to cry. You're like, will this actually, is this going to work? So getting a lot of success from that. The other option, which is a wee bit more invasive, is we do verruca needling. Now for that, I would always numb your foot. So for that, what that means is that I go in and I do a block at your ankle. So I do what's called a tibial block, and I take out the tibial nerve, and that's a nerve, big nerve that comes down into your foot, and when it's coming down into your foot, it branches out. So I'm basically taking out all those branches, so your whole bottom of your foot will be dead. It will be sleeping for a couple of hours. And the great thing with that, and it's literally just straight, and it sounds horrible, doesn't it? We all think, oh, I don't like the idea of that, SJ, but it's a wee scratch, and 10 seconds it's over, and then I can do what needs done in that plantar aspect of your foot. Verruca needling is, research-wise, the most effective treatment for verruca. And the reason being is because it is that good bit more invasive. So once I've put your foot to sleep, what I then do is I needle the verruca. So what that means, now remember when we're getting your verruca to resolve, we want the body's immune system to kick in and resolve it. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially damaging the tissue with a sterile needle, so everything's sterile. And once your foot's sleeping, so you'll not feel anything, I lie you back so you can't see anything. So if you're like, oh, the thought of it, put your earphones on, just chill, you won't feel a thing. And what I'm basically doing is I'm basically pushing and pressing the verruca. So I'm pushing the verruca, the virus, down into the bloodstream so that the body's got a better chance of picking it up. So I'm quite literally pushing it down. So I'm essentially needling, and I do like, it's probably hundreds of punctures, okay, right down to push that down into the bloodstream. So that's verruca needling. Now the local anaesthetic will last about 2.5 hours. And depending on where your verruca is, if it's over a big bony prominence, you're probably going to be a wee bit like sore. You'll need to wear soft shoes, probably for quite a few days. It will feel bruised. Maybe need you offload it. We can help with that there. So that's the only thing with the needling is that you've got a wee wound, right? So where I've punctured the skin, you've got a small wound, right? And that's got to heal. So that's kind of the downside of that. We've got to make sure that we look after that wound, and that usually comes as a wee package. So you get a wee package when you get verruca needling where I'm managing that for you. But you only need it done once, right? You should only need it done once. So we do that the one time, and part of that package is we do the needling. You come back about a week later, we assess it, redress, talk about how you're feeling, those kind of things. And then I see you again within usually about 4 to 5 months after. So it's all healed, and because you need to give the body time, you need to give it time to actually work. And generally what you find is it's all cleared up, it's gone. Lots of people just phone me up and say, I don't need to come back and see you because it's gone, it's away. And that's the verruca needling. Verruca needling, the whole kind of package is £280, and that's like managing all your appointments and things, so everything's in that package. It is not for everybody, and it's a higher percentage. I don't have the exact stats, but you're certainly a higher percentage than the Verruca of success. But what I like to do is go in first line with the Verruca. So let's try this first, and then if that's not working, we always have something a wee bit more invasive to go in with the Verruca needling. But if somebody was adamant and said, no, I would just quite like the Verruca needling, then of course we can do that, as long as it was indicated for you. But I suppose the one of the advantages of the needling is that you only need it done once, so there's not a disruption, and you don't need to bother about putting surgical spirits on or anything. Basically, you just get it done, and you allow that wee wound to heal. I help you manage that, and you leave it alone. That's it. There's not really, there's no faffing about, I suppose. So if you're a busy person and you're just like, oh, I just want that dealt with, then I'll have a few days of where it's a wee bit uncomfy and I just need to watch what shoes I'm wearing, then that's your best bet, really. With the Verruca Top, it's a minimum of 3 applications, so that you're still £150 there if you think about that, because each application is £50, so you're £150 anyway. But it's, for me, it really comes down to whether or not you know, if you're like, time's the issue for me. Your appointment time's not long, but it's still, you're having to come. You're having to take a trip out your day, although I think sometimes it's nice to have a point to go out the house these days, isn't it? But that it's less good for the more busy person, if that makes sense, because it can take a number of sessions, and it can take up to 6 sessions with that. So you could be like up to that kind of £300 anyway if it's taking the maximum number. After 6 sessions, that's the line where we can't apply the Verruca Top anymore. We'd need to like call it a day on that and look at alternatives, and that's when I would then be saying go to needling if you haven't already considered that. But that's really it. They are not easy to get rid of. Okay, I know that's not what people want to hear. I'm very much of I like to give people just facts and truth, and as much as I can. And Verruca they're just annoying. So if they're not sore specifically, so if they're not really causing you bother, just stick a bit of duct tape over them, occlude them. Simple things like that in the house. Sometimes they just won't clear up. Sometimes they might just clear up. The body recognises there's a virus there. It just decides to, there's a virus there, and it just decides to go and clear it up. All we're basically doing is initiating that process via damaging the tissue. So we basically initiate an immune response. That is essentially the science behind what we're doing. But my advice would be to talk to your local podiatrist. So look at a podiatrist. How do you find a podiatrist? So you want to make sure anybody that you see, things like this, like the Verruca Top and Verruca needling, you have to be statutorily regulated. You can't buy that without having a certificate to be able to buy it. It's a prescription only meds. I'm sure it comes under the POMS search. So you have to be a podiatrist or a medical person to be able to get it. So you're like somebody that's not that won't have access to that anyway. But what I would also say to you is just make sure that the person that you're seeing is able to properly deal with what you've got. So you can go into the Healthcare Professional Council website, and you can do a search for podiatrists. So if you know the name of the person, you can just search their name, and it will give you all the details of what they're qualified in. And that's always good because it's statutorily regulated, which means the government regulate it. We've got strict rules that we have to abide by. I don't think there's any questions coming in. I know that it's not the most sexy, Valentine's night, Saturday night. Let's talk about Verruca. And essentially it's the same as, it's basically a wart, isn't it? It's gorgeous. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate in reaching out. And if you have a Verruca and you want help, I'm in Glasgow. This is the Kinning Park facility. This chair is really squeaky. And I'm open. I work Mondays, Wednesdays and Saturdays. So you can reach out, just message, and we can get you booked in. The Verruca Top we can do from age 6. So it is suitable for over the age of 6, Contraindications though are pregnancy and breastfeeding, with everything, isn't it? Like if you're pregnant, you can't get anything, don't you? So we wouldn't initiate a treatment like that if you were pregnant. We wouldn't be doing local anaesthetic. We didn't really need to either if you were pregnant. So yeah, that's it. If you have questions, just let us know. And if not, have a great Saturday night. And I will maybe see you all later on in the week. Hopefully see some of you in person really soon. It's weird, isn't it? Weird. But I'll jump off. I don't think there's been any questions, but if there are, you can watch this. If you're watching this in the replay, just hit me up with any questions. I hope that kind of gave you some information on verrucas that is of use, that will allow, if it's something you need help with, it's maybe giving you some reassurance, what you can do, and what treatment options are out there, right? What podiatrists, what we're doing, what we would be telling you in the clinic. So you've got that information already. Okay, right, I'll sign out and I'll see you later. Bye.